Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are happy to hear your voices. We are happy to see your faces. We are happy to be in your presence here today. As usual, we look forward to our conversation. We look forward to learning from you. We look forward to giving you some guidance, helping you understand, hopefully not making you more confused or more adrift. We do our best. And we would love to know who has the first question, comment, idea, or thought today.
Okay, so I'd like to go first. This past week has been very stressful for me because I got COVID and I felt more anxiety than the symptoms themselves. And that anxiety has made worse because one of my housemates was away and now she's back here. She went on a trip. And yeah, I realized that I kind of felt safe without her being around because it's like I can't infect her or she can't infect me back and that kind of thing. And I tried to talking to her to say like, hey, I'm afraid and this kind of thing, but she's like in her own issues. And so now I have another weird symptom not related to COVID. And I just measured my temperature and I have a fever. So I don't know if it's like related to that thing or just my head or I don't know. I'm not like at my best right now.
Yes.
So yeah, some guidance would be very helpful.
Yes. We think that it is helpful to have guidance for what to do when one is not at one's best for whatever reason. Yes, because this is something that happens periodically and will continue to happen periodically throughout our lifespan. As long as we are here, we will cycle between experiences. Yes, we will cycle between change. We will cycle around the wheel of experience. And so it is most important when one is not feeling well, whether that is physically, emotionally, spiritually, to practice awareness and acceptance. Yes, there is a yin and a yang of being in a body that does not happen when you're not in a body, of states of being and states of doing. Yes, and states of doing are moving forward, completing things, thinking about how to do things, planning, looking to how the future will change, et cetera, or how you would like to change the future. Being is another state. Yes, being is existing and observing and being aware. Yes, and they are both equally important. Yes, and we must become aware of our intuition of when to do which. But when one is not feeling well, the usual course that one should do is to try to just be aware. And in that space of awareness, see how you can grow your compassion for yourself. See how you can grow your compassion for other people. See how you can grow your compassion for the world. Yes. So your job, quote unquote, at this time is not to do anything other than to bring in an awareness of yourself and love on it. So for example, if you are feeling unsafe, it is not necessarily a time to do anything about it, to try to change anything or move or even come to know what is causing this. Why do I feel unsafe? It is a time to be. I feel unsafe. What would I need to do to be compassionate to myself, to love myself? How could I be here with myself in a way that helps me to feel better? Or helps me to feel more understood, or helps me to feel more seen. And sometimes that's be understood and seen by other people, but more often than not, it's to be understood and seen by yourself. Because ultimately, if you can understand and see yourself, it becomes less and less important that other people can do so. And when it becomes less and less important that other people can do so, you can interact with them in a more easy, facile manner, where it becomes more of an awareness of you being in a play, playing parts, and it becomes less personal. Yes, and you can hold both of those truths true at the same time. Yes, this is very important, and it is me, and it is my life, and I am playing a part in a play for the next 80, 100 years, however long it is. Yes, so we would say when you are not feeling well, watch what arises. That is the most important thing you can do. And then once you are feeling better, then you can decide whether you want to do anything about it. So we would ask of you, what is there in this situation that you can, what is the way that you can be that would help you feel just a little bit more loved, a little bit more taken care of, a little bit more accepted? And move towards that. Move towards that feeling. Move towards that awareness. For your roommate is on her own path, yes. And it may be that there are things between the two of you that cause rubbing the wrong way, yes, for either one of you. But to be aware that this is circumstantial. Yes, this is because you are living together. If you had encountered this person in another way at another time in your life, et cetera, these things may not be a problem. Yes. So what is it about this particular situation, about this particular circumstance, that makes you interpret it as unpleasant or unwanted or unsafe?
That she is like unwilling to stay quarantined and she always wants to go out because it's like she literally can't stay in one place, and that makes me feel very out of control and very unsafe.
Yes, yes. So what is it that you can think right now? What is it that you can give to yourself that would help you feel more safe, since you cannot change the situation at the moment?
I don't know, because I'm already contagious, so I barely go out of my room, that kind of thing. But I'm not sure.
Well, it's a good thing to think about. So you are saying exactly the right thing, which is that you are in a place where you can't really do much. Yes, you were stuck in your room. So then when we are in a place where we cannot do, is an excellent time to practice just being, just accepting. Yes, here I am. Emotions are coming up, thoughts are coming up, feelings are coming up. And for whatever reason, I am stuck in my room. Yes, because at various points in our life, we are stuck places. Yes, we feel like we can't move, we can't do anything, we can't move forward, we can't make progress. And those are the times that is a breadcrumb, as we say, for times to be self-reflective. Just be. And by self-reflective, we don't mean self-critical. We don't mean tearing yourself down. We mean being self-compassionate and self-loving. So what if this was a time for you to meditate on all the ways that you are amazing and that you love yourself and that the world loves you and is conspiring to bring to you the things that you need to learn in order to grow into exactly the person you planned on growing into when you came here this time? Ah, what a delight. Yes? Yes.
Yeah.
It is interesting that we feel compelled or trapped when the circumstances are situational. So for example, when we are busy, 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 we feel like, oh, I'm so busy, why can't I get a rest? Yes. And when we are sick and forced to rest, there are people out there who are busy, busy, busy and would pay money to have nothing to do for 5 days and just be able to sit. Yes. And so to not get into a state of resistance, of feeling like you have been forced into a circumstance because of the things that are happening around you, and rather just accept and say, ah, here I am. And that is what we mean by just being. Yes. Any thought that comes up where you say, oh, I am forced to do this, I am forced to be so busy, or I am forced to be stuck in my room, or I am forced to do this, will bring up that mindset, that state of resistance. And that is what causes suffering. Yes. Whereas if you were to say, oh, I am in my room, well, there is a pile of books that I've been meaning to read for a month. I guess I will do that. Yes. You see, you accept your situation and observe it and just be with it and see what arises as inspiration for you when you can just be with your situation instead of resisting it. Because there will always be inspiration, there will always be opportunities, there will always be novel ideas, but first we have to let go of the idea that we're not where we're supposed to be. If I was exactly where I'm supposed to be right now, what would inspire me? That's a good question to ask.
Okay.
And when the anxiety comes up and when the depression comes up, et cetera, know that these are thoughts and that you have a body mind which is designed to create thoughts, just like you have a body mind that is designed to create digestive enzymes. Yes, it is a function. It is a function of your body. And they do not define you. They are merely like an interpretation of a painting, but they are not the painter itself. Yes? So what could you do in your room, not going out much, that feels inspirational to you?
I've started working on a business idea that I'm really, really excited about. And I think I'd love to keep doing that.
Perfect. So in your time, when you are feeling well, when you are feeling well enough to sit and write, and when you are feeling inspired, write a little bit more, think a little bit more, plan a little bit more. And then when you are feeling like, oof, I don't feel very well right now, I want to rest, you should rest. Yes?
Okay.
Practice being with the moment, whatever it is. Whether your mind wants to interpret it as pleasant or unpleasant, that is an interpretation. You are simply existing in this moment. And let us know how it goes with the business idea. We are excited to hear.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question or a comment? Idea?
It's really interesting, Georgina, because my question is almost the polar opposite of your question. I am extremely busy at the moment and feel that I can't be. It's almost become, I mean, the word addiction is like coming to mind, like I can't allow myself to become still. There's almost like an agitation with being still now, because I've been doing so much, and it's all, I mean, it's all really good, and I think that's why I'm still doing it, because I enjoy it. But I'm also very aware that I need to kind of like have an intervention almost with myself. And I think part of that is it's really becoming clear that I really need to learn how to accept help. And but I guess I suppose, and also a wisdom around what kind of help I need, because I'm kind of aware of like I suppose I'm thinking like the help that I'm thinking of, oh, I need money for that. I need to like pay people to help me. And I suppose that's always been a theme for me through my life, is that I feel like I want to really pay people when they help me. Like I feel like I can't just ask people sometimes for that. I feel like I have to give them that money in return or something in return. So yeah, so it kind of came to me in like the healing part there, that I feel like I need to open my mind to different kinds of help and what that looks like. So yeah, that was quite a long explanation, but it kind of came to me as I was talking. So yeah, so I guess kind of the opposite of Georgina is, how can I help myself be when there's so much to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the ultimate practice is to learn over many, many years how to be while doing and how to do while being. Yes. This is the paradox, one of many, that as a human, you have come here to sit in, to marinate in. There's not an answer. We were just exploring the question. Yes. The ultimate question you are exploring is, how do I be a human and a spiritual being at the same time? Yes. But there are many other sub-questions. And one of them is, I have the ability through space and time in this body to take action. Yes. Things have a beginning and a middle and an end, the way that they do not in the spiritual realm. And that means you can take an action and have a result in a different way than you can when you come back to where you're from. And so so there is a focus in this incarnation around doing. Yes, you're supposed to start and work on and finish things. Yes. So how do you balance that idea of doing and being? And there are several ways. We will say one is to, like a recipe, make sure that you're getting enough of each, 1 cup of doing and 1 cup of being each day. Yes. And the other one is to stop in the moment of doing and see if you can do from a place of being. And what that means is really what you would call presence or mindfulness. Yes. Can I just be in this moment while I'm doing what I'm doing and not let any worries, anxiety, thoughts, doubts, et cetera, take hold? Can I just be right now, even if I'm busy, even if I'm on a phone call or writing something or whatever it is? Can I just be right now? Yes, because that is being while doing. And neither method is superior. It is good to sometimes plan times of busyness and plan times of rest. Yes. It is also good to practice being while you are doing. It is also good to practice doing while you are being, as we are saying to Georgina. How can I be with an active mind of love and compassion? So that is one thing we would say. In terms of receiving help, it sounds like there is a narrative that somehow it is that you are taking something away from someone when you ask them for help. You are taking away their time or their energy or their something that you are then not compensating them for in return. Whether that is through money or taking them out to lunch or doing something for them later, yes, et cetera, et cetera. We would say, just as a game, because of course this is all a game, what if when you thought of asking someone for help, what you were doing is actually giving to them, enriching them, giving them an opportunity that they would not otherwise have, helping them figure something out about themselves or their path that is beyond what either of you know right now, but will launch them into a direction of joy, happiness, exaltation, understanding, et cetera, et cetera. For you do not know. That is our point. Yes, you are making an assumption that things would go one way, that it is somehow a depletion for them, when it could be an enrichment. And you don't know. Perhaps in helping you with something, somebody else sees something so clearly about their path that they had not seen before. And it ends up putting them somewhere way ahead of where they were before they helped you. Yes. And so maybe the word help is not even the right word for you to be thinking of. We don't know what the right word would be for you, but we can see that the word help feels very like a one-way flow. Yes. And we would invite you to ask yourself, what would it look like if it were a one-way flow in the other direction? For really, it is a flow in both directions, but you have been so conditioned over the years to think of the flow as only coming towards you that we think as a game for a while. What if you thought of it the other way? What if I was giving them a magnificent gift that neither of us were aware of yet in how they helped me? And that is not to say that that cannot still happen once you hire someone and compensate them with money or trade or something else. Yes, it can still be a beautiful flow in both directions. There is just also the flow of money involved, yes, as one of the pieces of the flow. But we would say for now, invite it in when you think about it, when you sit, when you contemplate, when you meditate. What if it was a world where when I invited people to help me, somehow I was giving them something that they'd never been given before? What if the flow is the other direction? We know it feels foreign, but just play with it. For example, if you were asked to help your dream mentor, so the person you admire most in the world, that you can't imagine ever meeting them, let alone working with them. If they asked you for help, it would be a blessing for you, wouldn't it? You would learn so much from being around them and seeing their process and helping them with their process. It would help you understand concepts you didn't understand before. It would help your self-esteem that you were working with this person. It would, et cetera, et cetera. And now I'm not saying that is how everyone will relate to you. I'm just saying to get the idea of how this can be a flow in both directions. And what if they then paid you and paid you handsomely? Extra bonus, yes? Then it would almost feel like the direction had reversed. You're getting to work with your dream person, help them achieve what they want to achieve in the world, which is something you so admire, and they're paying you. Seems rather unfair almost, doesn't it? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
yes.
Play with this energy. What if the world were the exact opposite that I have been practicing and pretending it has been for all these decades? We're not saying it is, we're not saying it isn't. We're just saying play with that energy, play with that idea.
Yeah. Can I just go back to you said the whole sort of being while you're doing. So I even noticed, like, when Georgina was like asking a question, I was like, oh, I need a different notebook. Let me get that. Oh, I need to like write this down about this thing that's in my head right now. And so I'm definitely finding like a resistance to the being, because I think I've been doing for so long. So I don't know how to deal with that except for like literally just sitting with it and, you know, noticing it and being, I suppose, like what you said about being compassionate about it, about, you know, the fact that that's what's happening right now.
Yes.
So yeah,
we would say that with thoughts especially, because there is such a tendency to associate thoughts with who we are. Yes, again, as a human, you do not associate which enzymes are being produced by your pancreas to digest food with who you are as a person. Yes, in the same way that we do with thoughts. And so the first thing to be aware of is that is to not identify with those thoughts as who you are. And once you do that, you can start observing them. And once you start observing them, you can start noticing patterns. And once you start noticing patterns, you can name them. Yes, categorize them, for that is quite helpful. So you can, if your mind is like, oh, I must get this notebook and I must write this down, and oh, this idea came to me. Maybe after enough time where you catch yourself doing that, you can say, mind busyness, or something like that. Yes, whatever phrase comes to you. And when that happens again, you say, mind busyness. And that gives you the opportunity to be aware of if that's where you want your thoughts to be or not. Maybe you want to let go of the mind busyness. Maybe the mind busyness is important. No, I want mind busyness right now because I have to remember this, so I need to write it down. Yes? So, but the practice is observing your thoughts in the same way that you observe your breathing. Yes, there's a reason that breathing, heartbeats, things like that are ways that we meditate, is because it's the practice of observing our body mind doing its thing without judgment, without trying. Yes, one of the main practices when one first starts breathing meditation is letting go of controlling your breath, letting your breath be and observing it, letting your body be breathed. Let your thoughts be thought. And maybe they are helpful and maybe they aren't. And maybe they are where you want to go and maybe they aren't. And that is all good. There is no judgment there. Just like there is no judgment of, oh my goodness, my lungs are filling up my left lobe too much this time. I wish it was more of the right. It just is.
Yeah.
So that is, does that help with the being while doing? It starts with just observing. What are my thoughts doing right now?
Yeah.
And noticing the patterns. And then you can, once you notice the patterns, then you don't become entrenched in them without your conscious awareness.
Yeah. A phrase that's coming to me that somebody said to me before about this was just, when you notice it, just to say, isn't that interesting?
Yes. Yes.
And then
let it go. Megan says that she says, oh, hello, brain. You're doing thinking again, or you're doing anxiety again, or you're doing planning again. Okay. It's just a noticing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really interesting, the example that you gave about the helping, because that's exactly what's happening for me. I'm supporting somebody that I really admire and they're paying me, which feels strange. So it's really interesting that you get that example. So yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. Just remember, almost everything that you think is a product of a combination of your experiences, the environment you're in, narratives you've been told, survival strategies you've learned, and that all of it is not fundamentally necessarily true. It is just what you are thinking. Yes. But we must choose as humans to live in paradigms, because otherwise, how would we relate to each other? How would we understand? Yes, it is a bargain that we make when we come here. To live in a society, to live with other humans, to have a lifespan that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Georgina and Hannah, both very good questions, and we love that you asked things on the opposite end of the same spectrum. Yes, for you can see that in a certain way, it is the same answer to both questions, because they are part of a larger circle. So we love that you asked those. Thank you. Kathy, do you have a question today or a comment? I know you may not be able to get on camera. Ah, there you are.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Hannah and Georgina. It's interesting. I because we've been meeting every week, and I don't feel like an urgent burning question. It just feels like, oh yeah, exactly what Hannah asked or what Georgina asked. Yeah, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Or, oh yeah, I remember that, so yeah, it doesn't feel like anything is urgent or burning at the moment. But you know what happens is that I think to myself, maybe I'll ask about, and I'm like, no, you've heard the answer to that before. So, and then, the great questions that Hannah and Georgina that you answered, and Saul, your wisdom around that, your broader perspective around that. It's just like, oh yeah, yep. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for saying that. It is good to know that one does not need to necessarily try in life. One can also, goes back to the being and doing, yes. One can also practice being and just observing what is around you and letting things come to you, letting the answers come to you, letting the awareness come to you, without necessarily feeling like you have to go out and find it and conquer it and solve it. Both ways are good. There is no right or wrong, but just to be aware that there is more than one way. And then there is every combination of the two, yes? So, well, thank you everyone for your questions today, for your comments today, for your presence today. We, as usual, are very appreciative of your curiosity, your inquisitiveness, your desire to find the way that is best for you. For everyone's questions are so individual to their own life. But I think, as Kathy was saying, what we are also seeing is that we are all having the same struggles. And that is, of course, not a coincidence. For we are one mind, one being, one experience, one consciousness that individuates as separate little bubbles or pieces or holograms or tentacles, or however you want to see it into each individual person. And so one of the secrets is realizing, everyone else is having very similar experiences to me, and that can't be a coincidence. And the way that everyone else is figuring out how to muddle through is exactly the way that I need to figure out how to muddle through. And so I can look to everyone else in my life as a teacher, and also realize that I am a teacher to everyone else in my life. Yes. And so through sharing that sort of energy, through sharing that sort of compassion, through sharing that sort of desire to gain wisdom and give wisdom, that is really how we end up seeing each other all as one. Yes. And once you see that everyone else is one with you, that is when you can reach a state of equanimity, or as much as you can here, incarnated as separate beings. Yes. So thank you. Thank you for asking these questions, for reflecting back to each other, and for being here week by week to help each other gain that level of understanding. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. And we will talk to you next week.